Moonfall was just released in theaters on February 3rd and was written and directed by the man who brought us Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and who clearly isn't trying anymore, Roland Emmerich. I'm sure most people are familiar with Roland Emmerich's work, whether you know it or not. He has had a long career and he's responsible for a couple of our most culturally significant disaster films. Being 10 years old and thinking the Mayan calendar was right and seeing 2012 changed the trajectory of my life. What makes things more interesting is that he just made a bunch of stupid comments saying that Marvel, DC, and Star Wars are ruining the film industry, which I can't say has no merit, but I don't know if you have a place in this fight with a movie like this, Roland. So I'm guessing he's either being petty because he's becoming irrelevant and is out of ideas, or they just wanted him to do that to get press before Moonfall's release. Either way, I can't say I'm super interested in the matter. This trend of directors commenting on Marvel has gotten very old very quickly, and I'm just here to let you guys know if this movie is even worth seeing. So time codes will be in the description. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on Moonfall, and let's get into it. This is going to be a shorter review because what it comes down to is whether Moonfall is enjoyable to watch, because there's no question that it's not good. And I'm not going to spoil anything that the trailer doesn't show, but the trailer shows pretty much everything. There's basically this AI alien that's jeopardizing the moon and throwing it off of its orbit, and it starts with the introduction to our main characters. Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry were astronauts together, but they had a falling out, and John Bradley is a conspiracy theorist who discovers that the moon is out of orbit. And I shit you not, within like 15 minutes of the start of the movie, the apocalypse is just happening all of a sudden. Like, there's flooding, and you're like, what, like, can we talk? Like, how did we get here? And honestly, I appreciate it. Roland Emmerich knows why we're here and didn't waste time with trivial things like character development and logic. And from there, it's exactly what it looks like, except with this twist in the third act that I'll talk about later. But it has all the trademarks of a shitty disaster film. Terrible special effects despite a massive budget, people not really caring that the world is literally ending, the corniest dialogue you've ever heard, supporting characters with the charisma of a wet paper towel. Charlie Plummer was really bad. No offense, Charlie Plummer. A side plot with those characters that you don't care about at all. And a wild card, a scene that literally felt like I was watching a Super Bowl Audi commercial. So it does have this typical half-baked emotional core. There's families being separated. Patrick Wilson is some like washed up astronaut, like he and NASA like hate each other now, and then he has this redemption arc, and usually having really strong main actors like this does a lot, but I found it to still be pretty dull. It was definitely nice to see Patrick Wilson in something other than horror. He looks great and he did a great job, but again, just kind of bland. Halle Berry is kind of just there, but she did what she needed to do. John Bradley was definitely the most emotionally resonant. He's a very sympathetic character. He's this conspiracy theorist who has dreamt of being an astronaut his whole life, is clearly extremely smart, but has been turned away from everything because he's overweight and he's kind of dorky and socially awkward. And I mentioned the third act because it does go a surprising route in the third act, for better or for worse. It turns into kind of like if 2001: A Space Odyssey was written by a toddler mixed with Elysium, mixed with the end of Interstellar. And it's like this backstory for the moon, and it turns into this really just terrible exposition dump. Meanwhile, the moon is like 20 feet away from Earth, but somehow no one is dying. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. But there's this component to the film that feels so vaguely self-aware. I mean, you can tell from the trailer that it's goofier and less self-serious than something like 2012. I mean, it says "fuck the moon" on the side of the shuttle that they're taking to solve the problem. John Bradley has a cat named Fuzz Aldrin, an icon, honestly. And the film is literally called Moonfall, and that's why I think it's the funniest thing ever that Matt Lynch, who's a film critic, has branded this as the thinking man's Don't Look Up. Not only because it will piss off Don't Look Up fans who take themselves too seriously, but because there's something to be said for something that's so unabashedly dumb, especially for people who might find Adam McKay's very smug and politicized take on a really similar event exhausting. I saw Don't Look Up 3 times for whatever reason, so I might feel it more strongly than others, but I see how dumb American people can be every day. I don't always need movies to preach it back to me, And I found just the utter brainlessness of Moonfall very refreshing. That's the best way I can put it. Like, I was very tired when I went to this film. It was the late showing, and I was very ready to just hate my life. But I felt energized after. Like, I had this big grin on my face, like, what the fuck did I just watch? That was, like, the dumbest thing ever. And I just like dumb shit. I'm swearing a lot in this video, sorry. If you didn't or don't have a good time with this, that's fine too, but you have to admit, it didn't promise anything more than what it gave, and I've certainly had worse theater experiences. But when it comes to my rating, this is definitely a situation where I was laughing at the movie more than I was laughing with it, and just fascinated by what a complete mess it was. So I'm going to give Moonfall 2 out of 5 stars. So bad it's good still means bad. I don't think this is a must-see in theaters. It's not the most visually interesting, and the spectacle is definitely there, but it doesn't mean anything. So if it's not something you think you're super into, wait until streaming. Watch it with friends, get drunk. I think it would make an incredible drinking game, whatever mindless method of consumption you can think of. If you've seen Moonfall, let me know what you thought, and let me know your favorite movie that's so bad it's good. Then make sure to like and subscribe and connect with me on social media, and look out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play up there with those stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars.